This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network, and the following program is brought to you by the Verdoliak Law Group, fighting insurance companies since 1963, and TickSplits.com. TickSplits.com, no service fees. The price you see is the price you pay.
This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network. The following program is recorded live and intended for all audiences.
Trubisky's not a loser. And me coming over to Trubisky, here's what I'm going to tell the people. To say, oh, it's about time you came over, and I knew it all along. You're all morons who love Cutler. A guy that dresses up like Mike Ditka before a game, that's probably what turned to me that he understands the tradition of the Bears. If Jay Cutler would have been everything this guy is, he would have probably been gone to the playoffs 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And I fully expect Trubisky to keep getting better because he gives a damn. And I think that's 90% of the Bears. Don't you like when I just shut people down and I make a reasonable argument? That's what debate's all about. That's what it's all about. I hate that song. The hokey pokey sucks. Let's just go on. Put your left foot in. I don't like nobody telling me what to do when I'm dancing. You put your left foot in. I'm going. Nagy understands the division. Wannstedt, Tressman, Fox. They wouldn't understand fair tradition if it hit them in the ass. So Matt Nagy has instilled that into the players, and I love it. This Trubisky kid with Nagy is the right marriage, and I'm going to give Ryan Pace and everybody from Ted Phillips on down a little pat on the back.
You're listening to the Mike North Advantage, and it begins right now.
That's right. The Mike North Advantage starts right now. I am Aldo Gandia, Mike's wingman. We've got a lot to talk about today. It's week 1 of the NFL playoffs, and we've got 4 games to talk about. Bears, Eagles, Texans, Colts, Cowboys, Seahawks, Ravens, Chargers. Mike will give us the betting lowdown on all 4 of those games. We'll find out how Mike did against Mark Potash and that dramatic finish over at the Chicago Sometimes cheat sheet. We'll also talk about the NFL coaching vacancies, and what about Vic Fangio? Is he leaving Chicago? We'll get Mike's take on it, and we'll start right now. Mike North, how are you, my friend?
What a great year, especially Menno year, especially for Bears Barroom. We picked up more followers. The shows became stronger as the year went on. In the Sun Times and Bear Barroom picks, we won against a tough foe, Mark Potash. We absolutely have to thank the Chicago Bears and the unforeseen 12 wins this year. I didn't like the over. I give credit to anybody who had it. I remember David Kaplan taking the over. I thought he was nuts, and he took it. But nobody would have bet 12 games. So congratulations to a strong football team.
It was an incredible regular season.
What about that for an open?
That was a sensational
How about that all of a sudden?
Hey,
came out of nowhere with that strength.
But let's not bury the lead, as they say in the newspaper business, in the Chicago Sun-Times. You ended up beating Mark Potash. Congratulations. And it was tight, man.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. I've never seen a guy perform like Mark Potash. Well, really, I have. Good ones can do this. I mean, I started out at 18-1-1, and Mark at that time was 12-7-2 or something like that. So he wasn't that far out of it. Mm-hmm. But I end up winning the whole board first at 129, 116, and 11. Mark had 126, 119, and 11 by 3 games. Mm. We were both 7-9 last week. But here's where he dominated, and I give him all the credit in the world. His best bet record was 13-4. If you just bet Mark for the best bet, you had a huge year. For instance, I was 0-1 last week. I was 6-10-1, even with the year I had. So then you get to the best bet record, because the one I just read was top place. Excuse me. This is the best bet. He went 2-2 last week. I went 2-2 last week. He was 38-28-2. I was 38-26-4. I win by being 12 above 500 while he was 10. It was a fun competition. The ties bailed me out basically at the end, and keeping up with him because the last 6 weeks he was hotter than me.
He was hot, man. Oh, man. And let's not forget Mark Silverman over at ESPN 1000. He ends up with a 30-37-1 record. Not his best year because he's done this really well in past years, but he comes in third. It was a great competition following it all year long, and you guys are continuing the competition during the playoffs, and so we'll talk a little bit about that later.
Yeah, I wanted to say this, Aldo, and I don't mean to interrupt so quickly, but I don't know if he's going to add the playoff wins to the actual total we have.
Oh.
I would say I wouldn't do that. I won the regular season. If he decides to add that on, that's fine too, but I would probably, I can't remember if he even did that last year. I think it came down to the playoffs. And let me just say this about Mark Silverman. He's stellar. This year he had a year that I had last year. Nothing went right, and that happens in handicapping. But you know what? He ended up on a high note going 3-1, and he went 9-8, despite having a 7 under 500 year for best bets. So I give him all the credit in the world. We pushed each other. And it's fun. It's no big deal. You don't win a prize. Nobody's going to talk about it, but except us or maybe Mark when we talk to Mark or something like that. But other than that, it was a lot of fun, and I thank the Sun-Times for keeping everybody riveted, and I'm happy I was able to hopefully win some money for people, Aldo.
Yeah, absolutely. And I apologize to myself and to my wife for not taking your advice. I would have had all the money necessary for that driveway that I'm still paying for.
I mean, but you know what, though? Here's the deal. Next year I could fall flat on my face. It was just the 18-1-1 start, which came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
That was well publicized. So that helped us, too. And the Sun-Times was a good partner.
Yeah, an excellent partner. And thanks to Mark Silverman and Tom Waddle over at ESPN 1000. They've really gone out of the way, and David Kaplan at ESPN, to promote what Greg Braggs here at the Bears Barroom has been doing. He's trying to get all of the fans to go boom. This was actually an idea by the backup quarterback, Chase Daniel, and Greg Braggs has run with it on social media. He wants all the fans to go boom on the opening kickoff and maybe continue it throughout the game. And the folks over at ESPN, including Sylvie, have been doing a nice job of promoting Greg's efforts there. And we'll be talking to Greg on Sunday on Bears on Tap. He'll be at the game, and he'll be reporting on social media, and we'll be retweeting his stuff on Bears Barroom, and we'll get the lowdown from him on how boom went. Mike, let's talk.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been great, and I appreciate all the, like you said, Cap and all the guys at ESPN 1000. They're always in support of Bears Barroom, and I've known these guys for a lot of years. I hosted this year for a couple days. I think that the management's still getting up from underneath the desk, to be quite honest with you. But I will tell you this. We've had a lot of support, and from ESPN 1000, the Sun-Times, but most importantly, a lot of the guys like Glenn Braggs and everybody else. Glenn's got that boom thing going. I'm afraid to do the video. Because I have a plan. And I will reveal that near the end of the show.
Oh, cool.
You like when I have surprises at the end, don't you?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I never know what's going on.
Aldo's eyes just sunk, like Paul Newman's when Minnesota fans sunk his 53rd straight ball into the side pocket.
It's like when I worked in TV news, all of a sudden there'd be breaking news, and then the producers over there cutting my segment out and saying, okay, all those report from Cook County Jail, that's out.
That would suck.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, the fact that you had to go to the county jail and then risk your life and live and then have it cut. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. We want you to do a live shot from 20...
I got to tell you a story. I told Jiggets, listen, I was inspired by Johnny Cash.
The great Johnny Cash.
Yeah, only on certain levels.
Mm-hmm.
He was an original, no doubt about it. I'm not the biggest Johnny Cash fan, but I did love when he went to the prison. Folsom Prison.
Yeah.
Okay. I suggested to Jiggets that we do a show on remote from Cook County Jail.
Wow.
Okay?
That would have been something.
The topic was never brought up again. That's all I'm going to tell you. He goes, are you out of your mind, Mike? I go, well, I think it would be great. Because they listen too.
Hell yeah, they listen.
Oh, they were listening too, big time. We'd get mail. We'd get mail. You guys are my favorite show. I'm sorry I chopped my mother up. But anyway, thanks for listening.
You have a collect call.
And then I would send them a score pin.
That's hilarious. All right.
Can I tell you? And that was the last time it was brought up. He just gave me the look. And he never did that with me. But he gave me the look.
And you, of course, we're not going to go there without him. I mean, he's 6'6", 300
I never listened. Jiggets was one of the all-time great straight men. There's no way I go without Dan. Not because of that. I mean, I'll walk into Cook County Prison tomorrow and do or county jail tomorrow and do a show right there on the cell block. But the cell's got to be shut.
Yes, please.
We should do Bears Barroom from Cook County Jail. Tom Dart. Get him on the phone.
We should do Mike North Advantage, a betting show to a bunch of coffins.
We should do the betting show from Cell Block B. I'm giving the El Rukins tips on handicapping.
The El Rukins.
Remember them?
Oh, I haven't heard that.
That's when they went from Blackstone Rangers to El Rukins. I never thought there was a good marketing move.
Look at this guy. He knows all the old street gang names.
What do you mean? What do you think I was? I was running around then.
I know. Rattle off some of those names.
The Black Panthers walked into Sun High School. Right?
Yeah.
They walked into Sun High School in '68 during the riots.
Okay.
Believe me when I tell you this. I thought it was MacArthur and his entourage arriving. They were in fatigues, berets, the whole ball of wax, man.
Did they try to recruit you?
I said, you need any help? They just looked at me.
That is awesome. All right, let's talk some Chicago Bears football. I want to get the temperature, the Mike North temperature on this upcoming game. And, of course, whenever you're talking football, you got to talk with the quarterback. How is our young quarterback going to thrive under pressure? Mark Helfrich, the offensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears, was asked that question about Mitch Trubisky and this being his first game. Are they talking to him? Are they giving him tips on how to stay calm and so forth? This was Helfrich's response.
Just do what he does. Control himself. Do exactly what we've asked him to do. Nothing more, nothing less. And if his eyes and feet are in the right place, his head's in the right place, he can be great.
Eyes and feet in the right place. So it's all about the mechanics for this young quarterback, isn't it?
Isn't that amazing? But here's what I'm going to tell everybody. I was pleased. I'm getting a lot of out-of-state phone calls from radio pals like Munch Bishop in Cleveland. I was on with them 2 days ago. And yesterday with Anthony Gargano in Philadelphia. And I told them straight up, if Trubisky has over 50 yards of rushing, we win that football game. I think it's incumbent on Philadelphia, if they want to have a chance to win this football game, to keep him confined. And so far, this year, for the most part, I don't think that's happened. I don't think anybody's been able to do that. So I don't know if you set up a spy with them. I know they got a pretty good defensive line. You're going to have Kyle Long going against a tough guy in Cox. It's going to be tough.
Yep.
And they're going to try to blitz him and maybe throw the kitchen sink at him, because here's my worry. The Bear receivers have been outstanding in my eyes. Don't get me wrong. They got great hands. But I believe you can single cover them. Now, you're going to get burned doing that, but also there's going to be times they're covered. So I think they're going to rush more than 4 guys, even with that line. I really do. And they got a good defensive line. Look, I had the Eagles dead 4 games ago, and they're back. So this is a great game. I think it's the best game of the weekend.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the thing, I agree with your analysis on the game. The big thing with Trubisky is not only his footwork, but his eyes, because if I were to grade him, I would give him a C- on finding that second or third option. A lot of times he just takes off with the ball. What he's done over the last 3 games is tried not to run as much and try to work on picking up those second and third receivers. And that's just something that this young quarterback has to get better better at. And that's really the only thing that worries me about this game, Mike.
Well, here, another thing is Ertz. They got a tight end, maybe one of the best who ever played in Ertz, right?
Right.
Okay, look for Trey Burton. Look for them to try to bottle him up. I think if they want to get beat, or if they're going to get beat, they're going to have to get beat by the Bear wide receivers. Trey Burton, and I saw this on Bear Barroom, and listen, you know me, Aldo. I'm not a man that carries a grudge. Yeah, you know I'm not a man that walks around with an anchor, right? Because,
right.
But when I saw who's been more important to the Bears, Trey Burton, I think, was one of the guys.
Yeah.
It was a barroom quiz.
Right. Trey Burton.
Allen Robinson, and who was the other guy? Allen Robinson won?
Yeah.
I go, are you kidding me?
Taylor Gabriel.
I said, Trey Burton's a guy that they're going to have to confine.
Yeah. Taylor Gabriel was the third receiver who I think has had a better season than Allen Robinson, but I think the prevailing thought on people choosing Allen Robinson was that he was the bona fide number one receiver, and that gave the team that
has nothing to do with who's more important. It's really about he was the chosen one by some shows at the beginning of the year, and people aren't watching the games because Trey Burton's been unbelievable to me. As tight ends go, how good has he been?
He's been top of tier 2, I would say. He hasn't.
Yeah, I mean he's been unreliable.
Yeah.
For the Bears and for Trubisky, I really believe that. But what do? Maybe you just run the ball. I think it's going to be tough to run against that front four. So it's going to be. I think at the end of the day, his legs and Nagy's play calling, because he's one of the first Bear coaches where I can't predict the plays. When I used to go in the 60s and 70s, my God, me and my buddy Jimmy Koretsis, we would tell the fans around us what play was coming up. We knew every time they were going to run, every time they were going to pass, because it was their sets.
Yeah.
Nagy, he hides things, and he brings something new to the table every week.
Yeah, he's really good at disguising things. And John Buffon made a really good point, and he's made it a couple times this season on the show, Buffon 55, which people can
hear. So if you make the same point a couple times, does that mean you get extra credit for John?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because if you want, I'd like you to check the Jordy Nelson stats and the Allen Robinson stats for me. I do. I forgot to check them. I just want to see where that stood at the end of the season. Although Jordy Nelson will be sitting at home while our guy Allen Robinson's in the playoffs.
That's right. Well,
but you will look that up for me, will you, Aldo? I won't. I'm going to ignore it now. I'll only remind you about it every 7 or 8 minutes. Okay?
Very good.
So I digress. What were you talking about now? Were we talking about car insurance?
No, I was talking about...
Sorry.
I was going to mention Jordan Howard has probably, for any running back in the postseason, he probably has the freshest legs going into the playoffs. This guy, because of the reduced workload this year, and he's shared a lot of time with Tariq Cohen in the backfield, and he hasn't run the ball, hasn't gotten as many attempts as in the past. This guy is going into the game fresh. His body's got to be in great shape, and that is good news for the Chicago Bears, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I love Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard comes up with the big runs when you need him.
He does.
I don't care about stats at the end of the day. I don't. We're winning football games, and part of the big reason is because of the Bear running backs. I mean, let's be honest about it. I mean, he's gotten the job done. Tariq Cohen's been he got better. He got better.
Yeah.
And he got more comfortable. Second year, no sophomore jinx, which is big. Some of these guys are flash in the pants sometimes. They have that first year, and then, boom, they fall off the shelf, and you never hear from them again. Tariq Cohen, he's got a chance to be the next Sproles, Darren Sproles of the National Football League.
Who will be wearing green for the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday's game. And Sproles had an injury-filled season, but he's back in time for the playoffs, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of damage he might do to this Bears defense.
He will.
You think he will?
Have you ever seen Darren Sproles not do damage against anybody? He's one of the most underrated football players who's ever lived.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, this year the injuries got to him, but for his size and for the way that he did things and he kicked off with everything, I I think Tariq Cohen's got a shot to be like him.
All right. Ben Alexander in the chat room has done the homework for us. Jordy Nelson, 63 receptions for 739 yards. Allen Robinson, 55 receptions for 754 yards. So Robinson had more big plays, but Nelson.
What are you talking about? He had more big plays.
Well, he had more.
How many yards did he have?
754 to Jordy's.
And how many did Jordy have?
739.
Yeah. That's like a whole, Aldo, like a whole 15 yards more. Don't try to turn it. This is a damaging defeat for 100 proof. And two guys I love, by the way, who do a great show in Page. Dr. Phil.
Oh, my gosh. Draft Dr. Phil.
Can I just say something about Dr. Phil?
Draft Dr. Phil. Go right ahead.
Okay. When I first started, I said, this guy's all right. Nobody works harder, promotes the Bears, also promotes himself. And, that's good, too.
Absolutely.
Because that's what I always did, too. You promote the station you're on, you promote yourself. He's great. He gets together with the people. Great job. I love breaking down when he breaks down film. And Shane, is that his name, Shane Marsaw?
Shane Marsaw, that's his name, yeah.
Yeah, I know what it is. You know what? He's been like a vulture over and over me. I just shot the vulture down, okay? The Jordy Nelson thing. Let's close the case, okay? And Paige has been good. Everybody else, too. So, unbelievable. Great people.
Shane is funny. He patrols all of your tweets looking for anything to debate you with. It's funny.
I love Shane. Shane's like, I really believe, I'm not sure what his family situation. He might be my son. I'm not sure.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious. All right, let's talk.
I'm just kidding, B.
Let's talk about this defensive battle that's going on. I think Fletcher Cox, the all-pro defensive lineman for the Philadelphia Eagles, might have given the Chicago Bears some bulletin material when he said this. Now, the audio is a little bad, and so I'll kind of clue you in. He compared the defenses, and this is what he said about his Eagles defense versus the Bears. But first, he talks about his defensive coordinator, Jeff Schwartz.
Our defense coordinator is Jim Schwartz, and everybody loves playing for Jim. It's not our problem with their defense. Obviously, we won't be on the field at the same time, but at the same time, I got a really good feeling that we will be the better defense on Sunday.
Fletcher Cox is saying that he's got a good feeling that the Eagles' defense will be better than the Bears' defense on Sunday.
Yeah.
What say you, Mike North?
Well, I think it's going to be a close football game. I would say this about him. What they've done is come back. Like I said, Carson Wentz, what do? I mean, you just play him 12 games and then bring in the other guy for the remaining 4 and then the playoffs. Foles, no, you know what's really fallen off the shelf, number one, is Foles' rib injury. Mm-hmm. I haven't read anything about it. Have you?
He said that they were still sore in his Monday press conference, or actually Sunday after the game. They were still sore, and the coaching staff limited his practice time.
Okay, let me just tell everybody this. Take it from a guy who's had a collapsed lung at a collision home plate, playing 16-inch softball, me. Take it from a guy who played touch football that got knocked out of the sky and had cracked ribs, 2 cracked ribs.
Ouch.
Another time and landed on the Potawatomi Park turf. Let me tell you this. The ribs don't heal overnight. And I think that they're not talking about it. It's been like a shutdown for the media, but I can't believe that Khalil Mack is that dumb, and he's not, to know that if he hits him in that area or somebody else does, that could be Katie all she wrote. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
So we don't know what the extent of this injury is. If we're depending on that, we're going to lose. I'm just saying that it's got to be a little nerve-wracking for Foles because we know he's not completely 100% in that area.
I totally agree. I believe that those defensive linemen, Akeem Hicks, for example, I mean, that guy is such a powerful force. If he lands on Nick Foles, oh my gosh, Foles may not get up, and we'll be introduced to Nate Sudafeld or whatever the third-string quarterback is over with the
What is that, a medicine? Is that a cold medicine?
Yes.
By Nate Sudafeld. Here, I'll tell you this about Fletcher Cox. All that kind of talk only has to rile up one guy, Kyle Long.
Yeah, right.
Because really, Fletcher Cox is basically saying, I'm an all-pro, and we got the better D. And it's not about the defense hearing it. That's Kyle Long's deal, man.
Mm-hmm.
Or whoever plays the net. I think that's who's taking him on. God, do I do my homework. And quite frankly, that's the deal. It's between those two guys, and Kyle Long is coming back.
Yeah.
I said that basically, I remember 3 weeks ago, I'd rather have Eddie Robinson than Kyle Long if you have to make a choice. I don't think there's any mistake about that. If one was going to be healthy, one without. I will say this. Kyle Long could make me look at him in a different light if I don't hear Fletcher Cox's name too much tomorrow.
Yeah, or Sunday. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, Sunday. I'm so excited. What can I do?
Oh, my gosh.
It's been nothing but bouquets.
I wish I could just fall asleep and wake up at game time because I'm so excited for this game.
Well, you know what? And here's the key. Monday is going to be a tough day if we lose. Tough.
My goodness.
And I said on the show, and I said on Twitter with Anthony Gargano in Philadelphia, I said the winner of this game is going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, really?
NFC.
You believe that, huh?
Yep.
Oh.
Absolutely. You got a defending, and how about this? You got a defending champion, Super Bowl champion. Okay, and the line to me seems wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say it seems wrong is they're a defending champion. They've been as hot as the Bears, although not as hot. Bears have won 9 out of 10. Chiefs have won 6 out of 7, something like that. That's still hot. Foles is the playoff guy. They should basically be, Aldo, 2-point dogs or maybe a field goal. I don't know where the 6 came from, but I would say this for people that are listen to the show and gamble, that's good news for the Bears, and even the hosts on the show I was on are worried about that line. Why is that line so high against a Super Bowl champ where you got a guy like Trubisky who's so young, a first-year coach in Matt Nagy? The defense is dominant, but you know what? Somebody said the other day, well, our defense is more dominant. So if we give up only 10 points but lose 10-7, what good is that? That's why we need our offense to perform.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right.
Put that for an Emmy. Put that little thing or whatever it is. The potties. The potties.
The potty awards.
The potties.
I love it.
Submit that to the potties.
One thing that I'm excited about is that there has been word that while Eddie Jackson did not practice so far this week, it looks like he might be a go for this game, and that I think is so important because of this guy's ability to create turnovers. He takes advantage of that great Bears rush, always seems to ball hawk that ball, and I just feel like if he plays, he's good for an interception against Nick Foles. Eddie Jackson has been playing lights out safety for the Chicago Bears.
If he doesn't play, he broke his ankle, and they didn't tell us. Right?
Yeah.
This guy's a gamer, man.
Yes.
This guy is physical. I love Eddie Jackson. So if he doesn't play, look, he's going to play. If he doesn't play, then they didn't tell us something because they haven't made that injury, maybe I'm wrong, as a major thing, have they? They say, they're giving him time off, right? Which was the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think of I'm going to edit that part out. What do you think about the NFL?
I know I'm riveting when I hear.
What do you think about the NFL being so secretive about player injuries? Does that bother you like it bothers me?
Well, they're not supposed to be, and they try to ride the edges, and it's unfair to the odds makers and to the gamblers,
right?
And I think that it's also you're deceiving the other team.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in the old days it was much more stringent, in my opinion. Sure, guys played hurt. I mean, guys played hurt back then. You'd get a lot of probables. 10 probables. They don't play. Now you get 10 probables, 4 play. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's a whole different ball game now. I think that a good coach plans for anything and plans for everybody to be in.
You know, the NFL is always looking for ways to increase their revenue. I would have like a special pay-per-view show where you reveal all of the medical information of these players. You know that gamblers would pay $1,000 to tune into these weekly shows just to get all this information so they can make better decisions on their picks and so forth. I got all these
But if
ideas.
Eddie Jackson's out, let's say, and maybe he's doubtful for this game, who knows? And the Bears are still -6. Vegas already accounted for him being out. So it's really not an adjustment. Mm-hmm. Look, I think this is a dangerous game to play the money line. But I did bet a Malnati's Pizza with the radio station in Philadelphia, and they made the mistake of their lives. You know what they did? Because I'm allowed to, when I come on, I promote Bears Barroom in Cleveland with Bunch Bishop, and with Anthony Gargano and Jason Mert in Philadelphia. I promote the Bears Barroom. So I said, listen, I'll tell you guys something. Because, apparently you guys have missed the Bears season. I said, I will give, this is the lazy talk show host routine. But I'm not lazy because, I was on for 15, 20 minutes. We talked about everything but. I said, I'll send you Malnati's. I'll send you Vienna, whatever. And if the Eagles win, and if they don't, I'm on next week. So what I'm going to do is for everybody is try to nail down the time and let Bears Barroom know when I will be on next week. Because there's no way a 5-point favorite with that young a football team is going to lose this game, period.
I love your thinking on that. I love your thinking. Now, speaking of loss, there are rumors that Vic Fangio might be headed somewhere else. He's got a couple of confirmed interviews on Monday. He was asked how he's going about preparation for those interviews yesterday. That's yesterday being Thursday's press conference. This is what he said.
How will you balance your time this week, making sure you're ready for this game, also ready for your interviews for head coach's spot next week?
I've done 0 on that second part. 0. 0.
A lot of people do preparation for that.
Yeah.
Why?
I really don't. That's why I'm here. I don't know. I just, I have enough on my plate coaching these guys and the other things and deal with it as they come up.
So Vic Fangio says, maybe that's why I don't have a head coaching job, because I never prepared for the interviews. That's hilarious.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell everybody this. Here's what the Bears should do. Because I saw this happen in real time when Buddy Ryan left. And then we inherited Vince Tobin. And even though we held the record for the least amount of points given up in the season, they played more of a vanilla zone type of defense. They never were the same ferocious defense. They didn't strike fear in their heart and blitz 7 guys at one time with that defense.
Right.
Yet they had a good statistical defense. But we never went back to the Super Bowl because of the injury to the quarterback. And I believe Buddy Ryan leaving. And he took that head coaching job, God bless him, and he never won the Super Bowl, and he lost to Ditka 4 times.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to say to the Bears. You pay this man, I don't even know if he's got this title, make him the assistant head coach and pay him in the top 3 for defensive coordinators. I don't know how much he makes. So he doesn't leave. Because if he leaves, there's going to be a problem next year. Why screw it up for dollars? Seriously, it's $1 billion team. You're going to let Vic Fangio, and I would say this to Vic. Now I'm going to go to the other side. I mean, this is the way it is. As a businessman, if you want to take the Bengals job, go ahead. You'll be a defensive coordinator in 3 years. Okay? Again.
You'll be back.
Again. But if you want to be heralded and make a good amount of money, and he's the one that said he used to hear from people, if you get a chance to take a job in Chicago, take it. Sometimes your situation is perfect. You have a young defensive team. And I know at the end it's about being in the top 32 to be a top head coach, which is the NFL. But take a look around you about all the coaches who have fallen after a year or two.
But, Mike, the Bears will never pay him head coaching money, number one. And number two...
I'm not saying to pay him head coaching money. I said the most, or to make him a top 3 defensive coordinator pay.
Okay.
He deserves that.
Well, definitely, and he might be there already. Who knows? But
and give him that title, and he might be there already. So sweeten the pot a little bit for the guy. Look, you can't let the guy. If you let the guy go, you're taking a step backwards. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with that, but he may just prefer to be a head coach. He might finally say, hey, it's time for me to try this as a head coach. I'm 60 years old. So that's, to me, is the biggest challenge, is he wouldn't be going on these interviews if he didn't have that desire to be a head coach. Now, maybe he should prepare a little bit for these interviews. Maybe he really doesn't want to.
Has he done interviews yet, or has he said he hasn't had time to go on them? Is he doing them by phone? Is he flying to the places?
No, the Bears,
and you know what?
dictate
it's
all
tough
that.
to have a defensive coordinator as a head coach nowadays in today's NFL.
Yeah, that it's very, very true. Everybody's looking for the next offensive genius. But, right. The Bears dictate when and where, and so they've given him Monday to do these interviews, and he's got 2 scheduled with the Miami Dolphins, and I forgot the second team.
Oh, my God. Okay, let me help him out. Don't fly to Miami. Next. Come on, Vic, we're paisans. You know I'm Italian. Let me get, please. Don't do this. Okay, what's the other team?
I forgot the other teim.
It's the Bengals, forget about it.
This is what Akeem Hicks said about what Vic Fangio means to the football team.
What does he do for you guys?
What does he do for me? For the team, everything, man. He just he stays on us, and he has us prepared every week for whatever challenge we got going into, as a defensive coordinator should. But I think what's really interesting about Vic Fangio is how he approaches it, right? He's not going to come in there and give you a bunch of rah-rah and try to jack you up. He's going to give you solid, hard, factual information and tell you to play well.
I love that. I love that about a coach. I was always a fan of Tom Landry of the Dallas Cowboys. He was stoic. He wasn't, spitting on the sidelines and going crazy. Sometimes it drove me crazy with Mike Ditka. I love the emotion, but you gotta also concentrate on the game, Mike. And Tom Landry was great at that.
The deal is Fangio's upstairs in the booth.
Yes.
So you don't hear him swearing. You don't hear all the stuff. He's hitting.
True.
It's not like he's on the sidelines like Landry. And as far as Ditka goes, he was the right coach at the right time as far as that goes. We could debate that all day. Mm-hmm. My deal is that Vic Fangio is in the best spot of his life, but like you said, he has goals. I don't know. I don't think he has an ego.
No.
I think that, look at Dick LeBeau.
Yeah.
I think he was a head coach for a couple of years at Cincinnati. Guess what?
Yeah.
Thank God, then he goes back and he decides to do what he did. But you know what? Maybe Vic Fangio has that deal where if I don't try it, I'll always wonder if I could have done it.
The comparison with Dick LeBeau is excellent, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you don't have the players, you could have Vic Fangio dissect and have plays all day long. If you don't have the players,
right,
he's going to get beat up.
Right.
He's got the players.
Well, and that's another great point. If this defense...
That's my 5th great point. In a half an hour, I'm going for the all-time record of 6.
All right, somebody in the chat room keeps score here.
I love the bar room. Oh, by the way, it's Bears bar room, not Bears room. I must have said that 3 times last week. I don't know if I had some timers or what, but I listened. I listened to the show 4 times. You know why?
Why?
Because it's great.
Yeah.
But besides that, I said Bears room. I go, what am I, a nut? It's Bears bar room. Go ahead.
Hey, it took me a while to come up to say it properly, and I came up with the name. So
you are Aldo Gandia.
All right, so I'm trying to think here. What should we do? Should we go to the picks? Oh, I also want to talk about, since we're talking about NFL head coaching jobs, should we take a look at the list of the teams that are looking for head coaches? Because this is unbelievable. It is 8 teams. Yeah, let's stick on this subject. It is 8 teams. Let's start with the New York Jets. The New York Jets are interviewing. Let me just go through some of these names real quickly. Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator. Mike McCartney, the Packers former head coach. Todd Monken, the Buccaneers offensive coordinator. Cliff Kingsbury, the Southern California offensive coordinator, Chris Richard, the Cowboys passing game, Adam Gase, the former Bears offensive coordinator who was just fired as the Dolphins head coach. That's just a list. And I've got a list of the other 7 teams that are looking for head coaches. This is going to be a wild time for those fans who follow NFL head coaches. Which of these jobs do you think is the job that you should least apply for? Is it the Cleveland Browns, despite the fact they've got all this young talent? Is it the New York Jets because of their, just like the Browns, they're miserable losing past? Or the Arizona Cardinals, who just the management there is just pathetic? The Green Bay Packers, some people are saying, our very own Matt Carstensen is saying that's not a good job because all you got is Aaron Rodgers. The rest of the rosters is pretty much putrid. What are your thoughts on all of these head coaching jobs, and which do you like, which don't you like?
Well, first of all, I just think that, number one, the best job, in my opinion, that I think I'd want to have if I was them would probably be the Jets job. I mean, you're in New York City. Listen, the Jets are going to have their 50th anniversary of their Super Bowl win. They're one and only, coming up in 20 days. So that's a new territory. I will say this too, Aldo. I want to talk about the Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule has helped so many black coaching candidates. Mm-hmm. There's no question about that. If they didn't have the Rooney Rule, there's a lot of guys that wouldn't even get a chance to get an interview. But true. I'll also say this. Okay. Arizona is still in shock over the fact they hired Steve Wilkes. And I don't know if it was because of the Rooney Rule or what, but there's also been black coaches, in my opinion, that didn't deserve to be head coaches. But because of stream of consciousnness, which I think people got to believe in, they've been given jobs that maybe they didn't deserve. And the same thing goes for retreads and white and coaches that are any gender or whatever, race. I mean, I get tired of seeing a coach get 3-4 jobs. I think that's wrong too. But in my world, pick the best man available and give everybody an equal chance. But I don't want to ever hear somebody basically say, we couldn't, the management of the Arizona Cardinals basically almost come out and say, well, boy, did we screw up. That's never going to happen again. How did he even get that opportunity? Because of a rule that helps some and hurts others. Look what happened to Lovie Smith. Shouldn't Lovie Smith be a head coach in the National Football League? If you're going to go by what actually he did, compared to coaches getting jobs now, how is Lovie Smith? Somebody said the other day he got $1 million extra bucks from Illinois because he's going to have another year at Illinois. I said good, because if any guy has been screwed, it's been Lovie Smith, in my opinion. And I wasn't the biggest fan. But you go to a Super Bowl, and then you're banished to college? I don't know what happened there. He went to Tampa Bay for 1 year. And then that other guy, Cutter, the offensive coordinator, stabbed him in the back, said he could do a better job with Jameis Winston, and where's Tampa Bay today? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I see a lot of unfairness in the system, and I see the same names being bandied around. I think McCarthy and the Cleveland job's the stronger. Is a marriage made in heaven with Baker Mayfield. All right, he already had Aaron Rodgers. I think he's got the best talent of anybody. And then I'm just going to say the Bengals, because I think the Bengals may just hire Hugh Jackson, which is going to be a shock. So that's just the way I feel about it. I think the retread thing is bad. Look what the Bears finally did. They went out and got fresh.
I agree. Right, but you were a John Fox fan. You wanted that retread.
No, I was a John Fox. I didn't think John Fox was to blame for what happened. Now, that being said, looks like I might have been wrong. But the bottom line, because there was dysfunction, we talked about Vic Fangio making a comment last week about it. But Mark Trestman was supposed to be a genius. What happened to him? Mm-hmm. That wasn't a retread. Do you remember Mark Trestman?
Yes.
According to Steve Young, he was going to make the Bears go to the Super Bowl. Yet you never hear about that catastrophe, do you?
Well, if you listen to Bears Barroom Radio, you heard it a lot. But let me tell you why I think you're wrong on the Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule only states that NFL teams have to interview African-American coaches. It doesn't say you have to hire, and it doesn't say you cannot interview white coaches. You're limited.
No, you can interview anybody you want.
Right.
I just think that we've gotten past that. I think there's competent black coaches, and by forcing people to interview people, it's almost racism.
No, I disagree with that.
This should be natural that you bring these guys in. But I can't explain the Arizona Cardinals hire. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just can't. And if you could, did you ever hear of the guy?
There is a long history in the NFL of owners overlooking African-American people of color as their head coaches. And so to correct that problem, they instilled the Rooney Rule, which forces team only to interview, not to hire. And so they interviewed Steve Wilkes.
But some of those use that in the wrong way, too. Hey, we brought a black guy in. We're not going to hire him, but you can't say we didn't interview one.
Well, yeah.
That could be used. That's used against them.
Absolutely.
I mean, to me, I know, and there are teams that will do this and continue to do it. Oh, we brought in so-and-so. We brought in so-and-so. Look, I want everybody to get an opportunity. But even in baseball and everything else, they'll bring in the Latino guy. We interviewed him. You know what I mean? So it can work for you, the Rooney Rule, but it's also worked against people. But you haven't answered my Lovie Smith question. Lovie Smith, I don't know what happened. And 1 year at Tampa, and then this other guy comes, takes his job. Jameis Winston, has fallen on his face since. Cutter gets fired. I mean, I just don't understand after 1 year why he got fired. I think that was more troubling than anything.
Well, the thing with Lovie is that he was just so hard-headed. Pardon me. He was just so hard-headed about changing. It's the Lovie way or no way, and that hurt him. He wanted to surround himself with his friends as assistant coaches, and he wasn't innovative. What we've seen with Matt Nagy is that he's innovative, and so I think that is why Lovie is having a hard time.
It was his offensive coordinator deal. Yet I'm hearing Hugh Jackson's going to be who's won one game in his whole career is getting a shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we could play Rooney Rule all day long. If somebody's going to ask me who's the better head coach in the National Football League, Lovie Smith or Hugh Jackson? If you say Hugh Jackson, you're a bona fide idiot.
I don't think anybody, even Hugh Jackson's mother, would say that.
We hear his name being bandied about because he's a nice guy and he knows how to network. Are you? I mean, seriously, come on.
Yeah, Hugh
Jackson. And you know what? I do see a sense of stubbornness in Lovie. I do see that, and I can appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I was against Lovie, but when you win a title, when you almost win a Super Bowl with Rex Grossman, you got to get another shot.
Yeah, well, got to give Ron Rivera, the defensive coordinator, a lot of credit for that 2006 team. Oh my gosh, yeah, 2006 team. And then he wants to get rid of Ron Rivera because he wants to bring in one of his friends as a defensive coordinator, and that was part of Lovie's problem. He was just inflexible, and
he made a mistake with Rivera. There's no doubt that he self-destructed some of this on his own.
Yeah,
but I will say this again, Hugh Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as he left Cleveland got good. Period.
There's
no, and yet I hear he's up for another job. I mean, and then people are mad at Baker Mayfield. You know what he was basically saying? I'm glad we got rid of you, you idiot.
But
seriously,
I don't see how the Rooney Rule has an impact on any of this. So they hired Steve Wilkes, an African American who probably got the interview because of the Rooney Rule. They felt he didn't do a good job in his first and only year with the team, and they fired him. So who cares? The Rooney Rule.
Here's what I said when they hired
just gave him an
and
opportunity.
the guy from New York.
Todd Bowles.
Yeah, I said they'll both fail. What I'm saying is that there are other deserving people, no matter what, that maybe don't get an interview because they interview other people that are getting an opportunity because of the color of their skin. And I don't think that's the way life should be. I think you pick somebody based on the ability. There's been plenty of mistakes made. There's been two guys that have really, Tony Dungy, Lovie Smith, right? Mm-hmm. For the most part, Dennis Green was decent. But remember Ray Rhodes? Mm-hmm. Remember these guys never get another chance. So my deal is, when Green Bay hired Ray Rhodes, and he lost it, all they did was pillage the guy. But other people were allowed to fail who are different. See, I'm trying to be even-handed about this. But I'm also saying that the Rooney Rule, to me, is we don't really see race, but make sure you interview a black guy. How does that sound?
Only because the history of the NFL seeing race. They would not interview dark.
But it's 2018 now.
Yeah.
I think I think if they took the Rooney Rule away tomorrow, that black candidates would be looked at, because people look at these teams now. People look at these teams now, Aldo, and I don't think my basic rule is I don't think we need a rule to be fair. And maybe we did 20 years ago. You know what I mean? But when you got, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I would say Colin Kaepernick and I disagree with you. Let's get on to the NFL picks.
Well, you just lost the argument bringing him up. All right, listen. Here we go.
Tell us who these picks are brought to you by.
Guy tells the league to screw up, and then he cries because he doesn't have a job.
He's not crying. He's suing.
Go to your workplace tomorrow, everybody. Tell your boss to screw up, and then see if you get a job after you're fired. And then on top of that, sue him. And see if you get a job in that profession.
We're going to have more on this and future shows on the Mike North Advantage.
Absolutely, because we're doing this all the way through, right?
Absolutely. We've got so much to talk about.
We'll be talking Cubs and Sox before you know it, after the Bears win the Super Bowl.
I hear you. We will be talking Blackhawks, Bears, Bulls. We will talk about movies. We will talk about Mike North's movies. We might even talk politics a little bit. We got a lot of time
here still. We got a lot of work to do.
The Mike North Advantage is going to continue and be expanded in the 2019 season, and Mike and I are going to have a blast.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Mike North, tell us who is sponsoring your picks again.
Oh, my God. Listen, have they been great to us or not? First of all, Verdoliak Law Group. Okay? When was the last time you heard of an insurance company going bankrupt? Not many. But you know what? Because they get the advantage on you. So you need people that are used to battling these type of companies. Who does that? Pete Verdoliak, Ed Verdoliak, all the people at Verdoliak Law Group. Listen, if you want to have a reputable firm, they've been around forever. They have offices in Nashville and in Chicago, and they are compensation heavy for people. They do the best they can. They don't let anybody bully you. So check them out at 844-4VLG-LAW. That's 844-4VLG-LAW. So don't ever forget Verdoliak Law Group. And also TixSplits, right? TixSplits has been great, haven't they?
They have been great, and they've got this special promotion. They've only got a few left. If you want to go to this upcoming Bears game or any other sporting event, music event, concert, and you want $50 off the listed ticket price, all you have to do is send an email to marketing@TixSplits.com, marketing@TixSplits.com, and put Barroom on the subject line. That'll help us out. And our marketing guy over at TixSplits, he will send you a special promo code that you put in when you purchase the ticket, and all of a sudden, $50 off. So TixSplits.com, marketing@TixSplits to get your special promo code. Thank you, TixSplits.
All right, Aldo, here we go, my friend, because we still got a lot of work to do in this show. Anyway, Texans -1 versus the Colts. Look, I'm hearing a lot of Andrew Luck does this, Andrew Luck does that. If you ask me all week long, all the shows I've been watching, how many times did you hear Andrew Luck's name, and how many times did you hear Deshaun Watson's name? I guarantee you heard Luck's name 10 times to every one time you heard Watson's. It's like he's the forgotten man. I know that they got a good defense over there. I think people are going to latch on to the better quarterback, who is Andrew Luck, in my opinion, even though Watson's done a good job.
Mm-hmm.
But I think defenses come in with the playoffs. And I think Merciless, Watt, Clowney, all these guys, I think they prevail. Take the Texans -1.
Taking the Texans -1, and let's just point out that Mark Potash, your arch nemesis over at the Sun-Times, has taken the Colts +1.
Listen, why do you have to call Mark my arch nemesis? Why do you always have to start trouble with everybody? I got 3 friends in the mainstream media. Okay, 3, and he's one of them, for God's sake. He's been in my corner, and I've been in his corner, and you want to start something. Here's what he really is: a pain in my rear end. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Here's the next one, Aldo. Cowboys -1.5 versus the Seahawks. Okay. Russell Wilson, my respect for him is monumental.
Yes, I know.
My respect for Pete Carroll. You know this. Mm-hmm. I love those guys.
Yep.
I think Pete Carroll's done something Saban couldn't do. You know, they talk about Saban being the best coach. Come to the NFL and win after you've won in college.
Mm-hmm.
Then talk to me. But the last time I saw you, they were kicking your ass across Biscayne Bay in Miami to get you out of there. I mean, seriously. You know what I mean? So, can't I just be nice? I mean, I wish everybody a happy New Year on Monday, and by Tuesday, once I'm firing on you, I'm firing on, the Jordy Nelson thing. I'm filled with goodwill, and then I just go back. It's unbelievable. Anyway.
Poor Hugh Jackson.
Aldo, you know I love you, Aldo.
I love you, too.
Okay. We have to, by the way, I want to say this, not only to the barroom, but to Aldo. Thanks for the opportunity this year. I never had more fun in my life doing anything, and I've had some fun. But I mean, to just do I look forward to it.
Same here.
I don't look forward to 3 hours like I'm hearing today, going, "Hey, the UConn women's basketball team had their streak stopped." Are you kidding? I know boys freshman teams that would beat them. So let's move on, okay?
The UConn women's basketball team. I love it.
The UConn lost last night after 4 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's 3 good women's teams. Come on. All right, here we go. Sound like they're playing Jabbar. Cowboys, you know what? Like I said, I have all the best intentions. Anyway, Cowboys -1.5 versus the Seahawks. All that being said, I'm taking the Cowboys. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
How are the Seahawks getting points? I don't care if they're getting 1.5. I don't care if they're getting a half.
Yeah.
How are they getting points? I guess maybe I've looked at Dallas this year. Who's been more impressive the last 4 or 5 weeks? And sure as hell hasn't been Dallas. It's been Seattle. But this is the playoffs. Things are different. I like the Cowboys, so I got the Texans and the Cowboys.
And your pain in the ass, Mark Potash, has the Seahawks.
For his main pick.
For his main pick, that's correct. That's correct.
Way to jump in right after I said it. My God.
The echo effect.
I love you. I know, it was great. Ravens -2.5 versus the Chargers. This guy, Phillip Rivers, maybe this is his time. I don't know. But until he shows me, I do know this. Their defense, San Diego's defense, is something that's not being talked about. You're playing a quarterback that's green, but the young quarterbacks are doing it, and quarterbacks with legs. So I'm taking Lamar Jackson, and I'm going to take the Ravens. I think they got a defense to boot. But if I had a game that I might switch on, if I was going to go, I will tell everybody this. I love the Texans. I like the Cowboys. I'm worried about the Ravens. How's that?
I like the way you put that. Now, I will tell you that Potash and Sylvie both have the Ravens, too. So all 3 of you agree on that game, and it's the only
That's not good.
Yeah, and it's the only time the 3 of you agree on the same game. So that's interesting.
Here's the last one.
Okay, the big one.
I told you. This is my strategy. I've been picking against the Bears, and they've been winning.
Mm-hmm.
I think the game ends 19-17 Bears. I just find that Philadelphia will be stubborn. But the Bears at the end will win it. And there's a good chance it might be Parkey that ends up winning the fourth.
Ooh.
How's that for an angle?
That would be something.
If he kicks a field goal to win the game, Do we give a rat's ass if he hit the crossbar or whatever it was 4 times?
No, but I'll tell you this.
Right?
I'll need to go to the washroom to clean myself up after that.
First of all, and if he doesn't, if he misses the field goal, he shouldn't even be allowed to fly back. No, forget it. They're playing at home. If he misses the field goal here, security. Get security for him.
Really? It'll be like
He'll be treated second. He'll be treated as rough as anybody except Bartman.
I was just going to mention his name. Yeah,
he'll be the football version of Bartman if he misses the field goal to win the playoff game. But I'm going to take the Eagles because of the line. I think. Look, I've been wrong on the Bears all year long for the most part. I've only won a few times with them, and that's been good because I bet I can't figure them out. But I also know that everybody, and here, by the way, I also want to say this. I was very rude to the Chicago Sun-Times staff a couple weeks ago, or last week. They had a good week.
They did.
But this week, listen, Rick Morrissey, 24-13. Rick Tellinger, 23-20. That's a cover for the other team, but that's 1-1. Then you have Adam Johns, 24-13 Bears. Patrick Finley, 23-15 Bears. And then Mark has the Bears 24-17. So everybody's got the Bears covered except Rick. That's it. So I'm with Tellender on this, which means the Bears might win by 30 with us two knuckleheads together on something. You know?
Yep.
But you know what? The Bears are going to win the game. That's all that counts to me. Not the spread. I just think the Eagles, you got to give them some credit, and you got to be fearful a little bit. They're not playing no hobos. These guys hit their back against the wall the last 4 weeks.
Right. Now, the Bears have done well against the spread, 12-4 against the spread, so that's pretty damn good.
They've been automatic. They fooled me. They fooled Vegas all year long.
Yep.
I mean, Chicago people, when they're in Vegas, bet the Bears. So they're licking there's a lot. They could have made a lot more money had they understood the Bear season. But sometimes teams fool the handicappers, and the Bears were one of them. We've talked about it every single week, us being the... Oh, by the way, now I got the games. You want me to give them to you, everybody, before we get on one more, get on another topic real quick?
Yes, please.
Eagles are my best top play. Texans, Cowboys, and Ravens. Good luck to the Bears. I think they win 19-17. I want to congratulate a good friend of mine. I've known the guy for a long time. I haven't talked to him for a while. And that's my pal, Joe Ostrowski. Joe, 670. Joe's a handicapper, okay? And Joe's excited because, and I give him all the credit in the world because, believe me when I tell you this, to get a betting show, a gambling show on the air still is a and for the limited time they're allowed, I guess Joe's going to have a show, and let me see if I could find it here, because let's see. Joe is going to be starting soon. He's going to be starting, I guess, next week, next Saturday, or what have you, a show on 670 The Score at 8:30 on Saturdays. Now, if they're smart, they would do more than a half an hour. Hopefully, I don't think they're going to do a 2 or 3 hour show. And it would have been nice, and I'm sure probably Joe was begging them all year long. But he's starting now. I wish him nothing but the best. But he said something on Twitter that sort of, it didn't bother me. But, you know, I think it's important, Eldo, that you set the story straight. You know what I mean? That you let people know, basically, you know, what really happened. And back in, Joe just said that it's going to be the first betting show or gambling show on in Chicago. Well, he missed us. Now, I understand it's on radio, okay? But we were in the Sun-Times. We won the contest, you know, the cheat sheet thing. So, I mean, when I went 18-1-1, I mean, that was national news. I was on other shows and everything else. So let me correct Joe. And also that he's not the first, but he's important.
Right.
It's an important thing. And I'm glad that the Score is going to let him do it because he's going to have some, you know, guests and everything else. And I wish him nothing but the best. But the first show was the show whose tapes I sent to Danny Lee and Ron Gleason. It was called the NFL Handicap Show back in 1989 and 1990. So Joe basically is going to have the third gambling show in the history of Chicago, because I had a gambling show called the NFL Handicap Show that Dan Cahill, you know Danny, used to list on the grid. 1240 WSBC, and I know Parkridge Kenny, who ended up working with Murph on the score every so often. He was one of my handicappers, too. So Joe was almost there with the first one. He was only 28 years off.
Wow.
Whenever you're going to, listen, Aldo, all I'm going to say is, when you think you're the first in sports radio that did something, you better check on what I did. Because this is he's going to be the third, but he's going to be important. And you know what? Joe, anytime you want me on, I'm sure they'd be happy to have me. Well, here, I do know this. He had me, if they did a segment, I don't care if you work for WIND, WLS, the station don't matter. He'll get, if they did a segment, they'd make some money. It doesn't matter, though. It won't happen.
Right.
Even if it would help Joe succeed. We'll see.
Yep. Now, lots of luck to Joe Ostrowski.
Does that make sense to you?
It makes total sense. And Joe is welcome here at Bears Barroom anytime, too.
Joe's the best.
Yeah.
Joe was a young kid. Back when I was at the score, he was a young guy. He's worked his way up, man. Mm-hmm. Good guy. Good guy,
absolutely. Now, we're on OT, Mike North Advantage OT. A couple more topics to talk about.
As long as you want, Aldo.
Awesome.
We're on a roll today.
Nobody's leaving in the chat room.
You've been very argumentative with me. I don't know what happened, if the car didn't start, if maybe there was a wrinkle in your pants, but that's fine.
I'm upset that I didn't take your betting advice, and I got this bill looking at
You know what? Nobody knows how to cushion better than you. You're the greatest.
You retweeted something from ESPN. Who was it? Mike Wilbon interviewed Michael Jordan, the great Michael Jordan, and Wilbon asked Michael Jordan if he's the greatest player of all time and how does he feel about that designation. I'm going to play a portion of that and get your thoughts as to what Jordan said and why you retweeted it.
One, in a sense, because I think it disrespects Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, all the guys that prior to me I never had a chance to play against. What everybody's saying I never had the chance to compete against other legends that was prior to me. When I hear it, I cringe a little bit because, it's a little bit embarrassing because no one knows, I never had the chance, once again, to play against those guys, I would love to have played against him, but I never did, and for you to say that I'm better than him, I mean, it's your opinion. It's their opinion. I accept that as their opinion. If you ask me, I would never say that I'm the greatest player.
I thought that was a very thoughtful answer to that question. What are your thoughts about it?
Well, I basically was really irate when I saw that LeBron said that because he won in Cleveland after a 52-year drought, and they beat Golden State, he's the greatest of all time. First of all, you know what they're missing from all that? Draymond Green was suspended for Game 7, okay?
Right.
So he didn't even beat their full team. And then all I tweeted out after that is, how many titles did the Bulls win before Jordan and after? 0.
Right.
So if you're going to go by that, that's why Michael was great. Because are you looking at the Bulls now, folks? Are you really? Cameron Payne got put on waivers. What was he doing on the team to begin with? He couldn't make Park League teams. Are you kidding me?
You could have taken him.
This is Garland Paxson's 6th. This is their 6th rebuild?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I mean, they're trading people that they believed in, and now they're letting them go. Holiday's gone. They're picking up Memphis's graphics, which I don't think is a bad trade. But come on. They're not going anywhere. I mean, they should have kept the team they had because LeBron left. It's unbelievable. If they would have hit a Butler, a Thibodeau, a Gibson, Noah's still in the league. For God's sake, Derrick Rose might make the All-Star team. Look, I understand you had to get rid of some guys,
right,
but they did wholesale changes and came back with worse. It's like taking a successful restaurant and successful steak joint and saying, we're going to open up the first oatmeal restaurant in Chicago. My God. Look, Foreman got an extension. I read the Sun-Times. Somebody from the Sun-Times tweets, says Chicago Sun-Times basketball. Gar, for all the emailers and the Twitters, Gar's got a extension on his contract. So you're just like blowing smoke. Wait, you're a newspaper.
Yeah.
Where's the Mariottis? Where's the Baylesses? Where's the Rick Tallies? Where's the Terry Boers? Where are the people that used to put we don't care. I never cared. You don't think, listen, Walt Riniak, Rob Gallis, guys like that, because of pressure from me and the score, they had contracts and Reinsdorf had to let them go. You got to help change. You got to help. You can't be saying, oh, he's got a long-term contract and we're going to cover the team and we're not going to worry about it. That's garbage.
Yeah. I hear you, man. That franchise, that Chicago Bulls franchise, is becoming an embarrassment to Chicago
fans.
It's a disgrace. Yeah, it's sad. It really is sad.
And nobody will say the problem is at the top, Reinsdorf. Nobody will say it.
Yeah. Except
me, because they're all afraid to. You know why? They'll be doing a segment on Bears Barroom. That's the way it is. But you know what?
Great.
I'm sorry. These people go to sleep at night and they give Reinsdorf a pass?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's...
And Paxton and Gar a pass. They go to sleep at night and they actually tell their loved ones, I think I was sort of honest today on the air, because they aren't fully.
That is true. That is true. And it's because of the...
You think I'm turning bitter a little bit? It's like the plane going into the ship almost.
You sound like the same Mike North that I heard 20 years ago.
It just pisses me off. Oh, he's got a long-term contract. Are you kidding me? So you're going to get off his ass?
Yep.
Please.
Yeah, exactly. That's even more reason for you to get on his ass.
You're using contractual status to see how people should... I want... The public should keep hammering them.
Yep, exactly.
See, the problem is there's nobody on the air that will hammer them. Period, in mainstream media. Because a lot of them work for the guy. You can't do that. Look, I heard my guy Chris Russo, one of the all-time greats. I was listening to Mad Dog Radio. I was on Mad Dog Radio with JT the Brick the other night, promoting the Bears. But then I heard Chris Russo. Chris Russo, clearly one of the top 4 talk show hosts of all time.
All time, yep.
Clearly. From WFAN. And now Mad Dog Radio. And Aldo, I heard this guy, a caller called in and said, all you do is bum rap Aaron Boone and the Yankees. And then you had Aaron Boone on with you from the winter meetings. And you gave him a pass. Now, I would have never thought I'd hear that about Chris Russo. So Russo answers. He goes, well, I talked about his in-game strategy. It wasn't about that. It was about some of his moves, sure. But it was about, you didn't say the same thing to him on the air that you say behind his back. Well, you know why? He works for the MLB Network now. If he hammers Aaron Boone mercilessly, he won't be back. I can guarantee it. It's taken away even Chris Russo's credibility. You got a show called, the High Pitch or whatever on the MLB Network. And your job there is to promote the product, not to degrade it.
Absolutely. I love that take. You got to keep it honest. You got to be truthful. That's one of the things we do.
You know why they're making a movie about me? Because if sports radio was the way it should be, they wouldn't be worried about me.
Yeah.
But because it's not. I mean, there's 2 guys that listen to some of my tapes, okay, that are on the research team, but they're listening to the stations now. And they can't believe the difference.
Yeah.
That's why there's a movie coming on.
What is the latest on the movie?
Well, I went to L.A., I met with Adam Rifkin. We're ready to go. Next week we start writing the script, Jeremy Morrison and myself. I will tell you this. The names that have been bandied about are very impressive, including I submitted yours, Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel, because they're husband and wife.
Yeah.
And they like that. And I said, well, how much are they?
A lot.
He says, listen, if it's a good enough script, they'll want to do it.
Exactly.
And money and the days of saying I want this much, but they're raising their kids too. From what they're raising their kids right now. They really don't do a whole lot.
Right.
And then Vince Vaughn, Ike Barnholtz from Rogers Park, who listened to me as a kid.
Yeah, good actor.
I mean, so there's names being bandied about. The tougher one is BB. That's the tougher one, they said. They could find a big mouth, I think Vince Vaughn is sensational, and I think he'd be great for the role.
He would.
He's around the same age. I think he's a little bit older than I when I started at the Score, but not much. Edward Norton's 49 years old. He's been talked about, too. I mean, these are big-time stars. And you know what? I mean, there's a way you can get them, but according to what Adam told me, and this makes sense, doesn't it, Aldo? If you get the no-name guy, you're going to probably do a $2 million to $4 million. But the more stature the actor's got, the more people will want to put in money.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You attach a big-name celebrity in the lead role, and all of a sudden the investors say, yeah, let me take a closer look at that script. All right, here's $20 million. Yep.
Exactly, and that's the angle I'm taking. Now, if we get somebody that's like the kid I just talked about, he was in Snatch with Amy Schumer.
Yes.
He's from Rogers Park.
Yes.
He listened to me, so he knows. And if we get somebody like him, maybe we won't get as much money as maybe from Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
But you know what? You get what you can get, and you hope that you can find a great star. I just don't want to make a dud. Because I got 30 movie channels. And when you go through the movies, how many good movies you see? About 5 out of 20? 5 out of 25?
Oh, my gosh. I can't tell you how much time we spend searching for a good movie to watch.
Right. I'm terrified. That's the one thing that terrifies me.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to be when we're writing the script and how we're going to do it and how we're going to portray people. I mean, like Jesse Rogers is going to have a role in this. He was my producer.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Schwartz is going to have a role in this. The Score personalities are going to have a role in this.
Jiggets.
But to what? Yeah, of course. But to what extent? And then Danny Lee, who was the owner, and the hot dog stand, WXRT and WSCR, that building. They've already sent people there to try to make a replica if they can't do it here in Chicago. But it looks like we're going to do it here in Chicago.
Yeah.
But we have a bigger announcement next week, me and you.
Oh, yeah. We
which is going to tie in with the movie. And it's a unique new thing that we're trying that I think is, when my wife thinks it's a no-brainer after she hears it, and she doesn't say that much because she knew who she was married to, believe me, it's looking good. So I'm excited about that.
I'm excited.
And there's Barroom. How great has it been?
That's just,
look what it's done for us.
Oh, my
we
God.
We sort of like each other now.
We stick around long enough, we'll take care of that problem.
Yeah, I love them all. Little Nicky, Tooch.
Little Nicky, the Tooch.
Bellissimo. Hey, Boom. I don't know. Should I make a video with the Bookie Priest going Boom?
Oh, that would be great, Mike. Please do.
I think I'll do that tomorrow. I'll get the garb out.
Yeah.
Well, not for me.
Yeah.
I'll have him over. I got to have him over because I got the equipment here. He's my cousin.
Isaiah Robles in the chat room says, I look forward to Fridays because of Mike North. And he also adds, hey, that Kevin Spacey can work for cheap now.
My God. You know what? He played Bobby Darin, and he shouldn't have. I mean, my God, I know you love Bobby Darin, but you were like, you were 10 years older than him. I mean, come on, right?
Yes, Kevin was much older than Bobby Darin.
Much older than Bobby Darin was smooth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not his fault Elvis showed up and a couple other guys. I mean, he was good, but he had a conscience, and it's a great story. He was married to Sandra Dee, but Kevin Spacey ruined it for me, and he's got bigger problems.
Yeah, he's got much bigger problems.
Wow.
You don't want his name attached with the Mike North movie at all.
You know what? No, that would not be good. I think the movie that came out made $230. That he was in a movie, a brand new movie. It didn't make anything.
That was the Spacey. All the Spacey victims were forced to go see the movie. Jesus,
you know what?
Should not have said
you
that.
Want to know something? It's great to have you back in the gutter with me. It really is. If I say that, there's all sorts. You said it. It's okay, but it's fine. Thank you for joining me. Would you like a drink?
There's people in the chat room.
Let me see if I forgot anything else. Let me see here. Boom. White Sox. Much. We got everything.
All right, Mike. I think we should do this again on Monday or early next week. I want to get your instant reaction to the Chicago Bears game. So let's.
Yeah, we're starting the whole new deal, right?
Yeah, we're going to expand some coverage during the playoffs. So
good.
I will send out.
It would be nice. Can I get an email? Is there somebody that? Can somebody send me a schedule?
I will send you a schedule. I just have to develop the schedule first.
Everybody's worried about saying boom. How about a schedule? Say boom and send me a schedule, please. Dear Lord.
Schedule is coming, and all of the folks in the chat room want to see that schedule
love
too.
You know what? I saw him running with the football.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Who's
you see that tape of him?
No, who is this?
Phil.
Oh,
Dr.
yeah.
Phil.
Oh, yeah. Draft Dr. Phil. Oh, I've got a video coming on Phil.
You know what? I'm sort of scared of him now. He's like the nicest guy in the world. He runs like Peyton did. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, exactly.
The high school stuff. Very good.
He modeled himself after Walter Payton. You know, the story with Phil was his father showed him 3 running backs, Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton, I forgot who the third one was. He said, pick the one that you like the best. And he looked at the tape and said, Walter Payton. And since then, he became a Bears fan.
What he does when he runs with the football that I saw, he jukes.
Yeah.
He's got moves as he's running forward. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys just run straight and don't put a left move or right move, take angles.
That's me.
He knew how to play.
Yeah.
He watched a lot of film, and he emulated the best.
Yeah, and his father.
And boy, I wonder if I don't know if he could eat with Walter.
Ben Alexander.
He put away the chicken parmesan.
Man, I shaked Walter Payton. I mean, you spent a lot more time with Walter than I did, but I shaked Walter Payton's hand one time. I was like, please give me my hand back, please. This guy, huge, strong hands.
I shook hands with Ed Obradovich once. I had no feeling in my arm for 2 days. And then one time, Doug put me in a headlock. I thought I was going to have to go to the Mayo Clinic.
Oh, gosh.
These guys are stronger than strong, man, these football players. Yeah. They don't even know how strong they are. So when they mess around with you, it's like almost we're playing with you, but it's a little bit more harsh than you'd like.
You know, Ed Obradovich was a guy who his voice would scare me. He's got that deep, husky voice and stuff. That guy was all man. I mean, this guy was a destroyer. He's still doing well, and I mean, he was a big part of Bear coverage also. And Eddie's one of the good guys, and you want him in a foxhole with you. Absolutely, sounds like a great guy. I love anytime his face pops up on NFL films. I stop to listen to what he says because he's just such a interesting speaker. All right, Mike, it is time to say goodbye. Let me play some music here. There it is. Oh my gosh. Let's see. We went 101 minutes, Mike North. Isn't this fun?
Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it. As soon as you guys figure out a work schedule for me, I'm ready to go.
All right, you're always ready. That's the amazing thing about you. Mike North is this way even when the microphone is turned off. He's ready to debate.
Absolutely. Telling it like it is, and if you don't like it, screw you.
I love you, Mike North.
See you, buddy.
Have a great time on Sunday. Goodbye, everybody.